Yes. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. We are a group of group of medium fourth wave editors, and we've come together to discuss a very important topic, and that is about the reason why women do not speak out very often. Hello, everyone.
Okay. Now I've lost your audio. Okay, can I hear you? Can you keep going,
Yes,
Sue?
yes.
Yes, of course. So we have come together, a group of fourth wave editors. I mean, we write on Medium, and as many of us as can meet together at a certain time every Sunday, we meet and we discuss issues pertaining to women. So today's topic is going to be why is it that women are either not allowed to talk or they don't feel that they are fit to talk and they would rather silence all their emotions, all their feelings, and pretend that they are happy in every situation because that is what society demands of them.
Hello.
Hi, Sangeeta. Hi,
Hi,
hello.
Sama.
Hi. Yeah, so we're discussing the topic of today's meeting is actually the silent woman, and I find that in most households, women who don't say much are considered to be good women, and women who express their feelings are considered to be bad women, and they are actively suppressed by both men as well as women. So today's topic is that, and we will proceed to introducing ourselves, where we come from, and uh, then after that we go on to the topic. So there are three segments to today's discussion. The first one is, are women silent owing to tradition, patriarchy, or fear? That's the first segment. The second one is, what is it like in your country or in your experience of life as a woman and of the life of other women around you? That's number two. And number three is, how can we start speaking again?
I love that. I love those segments. Thank you for organizing it that way.
Thank you.
My name's Patsy Ferguson. I'm the editor-in-chief of Fourth Wave. We are an international feminist magazine on Medium with 56,000 followers. And all the participants publish on Medium. So I hope you'll check that platform out. Writers get paid there, which is fabulous, unlike other platforms. And I'm calling in from San Francisco, and I'm very happy to be here.
Hello, my name is Muniba, and I am from Pakistan. I am principal editor of Fourth Wave, and I'm very excited to continue this topic.
Hi, my name is Sangeeta. I am just a contributor on Fourth Wave and very happy to be here. And I am originally an Indian woman who was born and raised in the Middle East, and currently I live in Italy.
Okay. My name is Uwanah. I usually stay in Australia, but we have come down for a holiday. And I'm the poetry editor of Fourth Wave. And so we go directly to the topic. Now, the first segment of this is, why are women silent? Is it a requirement of society? Is it a requirement of patriarchy? Is it because men feel that if women begin talking, nobody will listen to them? Or are they silent because of fear of all these three things? So, what do you think?
I think, oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right. I think it's it's actually so unique because every woman has a point in their life where they feel like they cannot speak up about, oh, hey,
Oops.
oh, she's gone. Sorry. Anyway, every woman has a different reason as well. For example, women in the East, like specifically if I had to talk about South Asian or Indian women, our reason for being silent is because it's just we're taught to be silent. When you speak, you get reprimanded immediately. There's immediate consequences for having an intelligent thought. The only person who's allowed to be intelligent is either the head of the family, usually the patriarch, the father, or the grandfather, or it is, even if it's a matriarch, she still upholds patriarchy in the way that she handles the family. She only has a voice because she is almost acting in the stead of the man of the house who probably is no longer in the world, right? He's dead. That's how it goes. Whereas in the West, I feel like women's silence is very different. I wouldn't even necessarily say that we're not capable of saying things that are intelligent. It's almost we are taught in more toward like places like Italy and further into the West that the more intelligent you are, the more ambitious you are, the smaller your pool of men becomes. So for the women in India, the stark contrast is if I speak, I will be shunned by my own people, by my own family. Whereas for women in the West, it's almost if I speak, I will be shunned by a potential mate. I will be shunned by matches that I could have. So it's almost a secondary situation, but obviously I get to only see that subset because that is the age group in which I currently am. I feel like when you're younger, I think it changes from being that kind of covert sexism to very overt, like, hey, you are the girl, so you'll take care of the boys, you'll take care of the brothers, right? I think this is very common in all of our lives.
Okay. What do you
Okay.
think, Patsy?
Well, I was just trying to communicate with Uwanah or Esther. She keeps getting kicked out, so I don't know what the
Why?
problem could be, and I don't know. So I just want to tell her that keep trying. Um, but that was really, I loved the way you put that. That kind of clarified my experience. I remember when I was young being told basically you have to pretend to be dumber and weaker and need leadership in order to get a boyfriend. And I grew up right when the feminist movement was having a resurgence. And so people were fighting against that, but that was still the basic message I got as a child. And then as a grown up, if I didn't go along with it, um, ah, I wonder what I could do to keep Esther in if there's anything the host can do. Maybe I can invite her from the Zoom somehow. I'll look into that after I finish. But um, I do, I have experienced as an adult when I do speak up, I'm perceived as a problem. If I have an opinion different than the man in charge, whoever's in the group, that I'm
Hmm.
argumentative, that I'm difficult, then, I'm not allowed to have an opinion. So that's how it's manifested in my life today. I'm going to distract for a second. I'm going to pay attention to this problem with Esther and see if we can get her on.
Okay. In South Asia, many women are silent Not because they have nothing to say, but because speaking as a cost, I think. Uh, Silence is often taught to women as a way of survival. Like in childhood, they say that when a boy is speaking, they said, "Oh, is just like a boy, he can say mean things." But when girl child says something like this, so she's shushed, and everyone say that well-mannered girl, don't talk like this, don't be loud, don't, like, quiet girl is called well-mannered, and loud girls are called shameless. So these are things in, but not in my family. My father was not like this, but my aunties were like this. Whenever one day I was fighting, I was like 8 or 9 year old, and I was fighting and saying to my father that I don't want this dress. I'm not wearing this dress. It is just for older lady. And I was like 8 years old, and my father was laughing, and my auntie was, what is she talking? What will she do when she go to in-laws? So things like that.
The stock reply.
Yes, don't look that, don't say this. So yes.
Okay, so there is this writer, this Indian writer called Mahesh Dattani, and he writes plays in English. And one of the plays that he's written is called 30 Days in September. So it opens with a young woman who's looking very, very sad, very morose always, and otherwise she's always fighting with everybody and things like that. And then one day, her mother asked her, "What is wrong with you? Why do you behave like this?" And then finally, the truth comes out. She tells that every afternoon when all of you go to sleep and when you have got your siesta, when you're indulging in your siesta, what happens is my uncle rapes me through every afternoon, and I can't open my mouth. But I try to tell you, she tells the mother. I try to tell you. And the mother doesn't answer for some time, and the mother says, "Don't you think I have gone through it? I'm like a tongue cut sparrow. And I have been regularly raped by his father, and I have been told that I should keep quiet or suffer the consequences." It's a harrowing play. My God, I couldn't believe it when I was actually sitting and watching it in the theater. So we've got a theater in Mumbai which is made entirely of wood. The floor is of wood, the ceiling is of wood, all the chairs and everything. It's all made of wood. They don't need a mic inside that theater because the acoustics are so good, you know. And it's about 200 years old. So I'm sitting and watching that play, and as the play unfolds, about how this conspiracy of silence goes on throughout the family, where a daughter cannot speak to the mother about something, and the mother, even if she does speak, the mother cannot say anything in return because she says, "I also went through the same thing and I was forced to keep quiet because nobody was willing to listen to me." And they say, "You spoil the reputation of the family if you open your mouth." And that is silence. That is the way silence, we talk about Silence of the Lambs, that movie. But this is the actual silence. Actually, the lambs are silent in all families because of conditioning, because of fear, and because they have been told that if you open your mouth, your virtue is under suspicion. So if I am somebody's doing something bad to me, if I open my mouth, I become the villain, and that person becomes, he gets away if it is a he. That's the way things are. Yeah.
Uwanah, you made it. Hooray. I'm so happy you're here.
I used a different
Hi.
method. Everything looks
Hello.
very
I'm so
weird.
glad to meet you.
Glad you made it. And I love that you have where you're calling in from on your name. If everybody could do that, if new people join, they'll see that we are international. And someone
I'm
had to
just
teach.
but yeah, I don't know what's going on with my I don't know what's going on with my phone today.
Well, I'm so glad you came. That's wonderful. And I did get reprimanded by a commenter saying I talk too much, so I'm trying not to talk as much this time. But I'm intrigued
Oh,
by what you just said, Suma. I just have to say, you know, when I was young, which was 70 years, I'll be 71 this month. So
Oh,
a long time ago. Um,
yeah.
Nobody believed in, I mean, no one knew the extent of child molestation and rape. They thought it was just a very occasional thing by really monstrous people. And now that we know that it happens to so many people all the time and so many children, I believe that mothers specifically have to step up. They can't be like that woman in the play who says, well, that's what happened to me and now it's going to happen to you. They have to say, it stops now. It stops. And if I couldn't speak for myself, I can speak up for you, my daughter, right? Because I think we can pull that courage up for other people often more than we can for ourselves, especially if you have a daughter who you kind of are programmed to protect biologically, right? You probably can find the courage and strength to oppose the system and protect that child. I don't know.
Esther,
I
your
feel
turn.
I I I don't know if Uwanah knows the question.
Oh,
no, I do
Uwanah,
not.
you don't know the question. Acha. The question is, I mean, the meeting, the title of this gathering is The Silent Woman. That's what we're discussing. Why is it that women in all cultures usually are silent? Is it because they're afraid? Is it because they are following popular perception of women? Or is it because patriarchy is so strong in our society, wherever we are, that women are not allowed to voice their thoughts? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of all the things you mentioned, and especially because there are consequences for women who speak up. There are usually consequences for women who are more outspoken. Like they're termed as bad women. They're the women you do not want to associate with, even though they're not doing anything terrible. They might just be more outspoken. Maybe they like going out. So I think there are consequences for women who do not follow the rules that they are given. So I think that's one of the reasons. That's one of the strong reasons women are very quiet. It's just social conditioning. They know their silence is rewarded. Them being outspoken is not. So
So who makes the rules?
the rules have been there for so long. It's hard to change them. The rules are made by patriarchy, so the rules have been there for centuries at this point. It's hard to change it.
Okay. So, what is it like in your own community, society, country, your group of people among which you live? That's the second segment.
I'm in Nigeria, and it's very patriarchal society. So it's the same thing. Yeah, women are silenced. Women are being silenced, and a lot of women grow up knowing that there are rules for them to follow, and if they do not follow those rules, there are consequences. So it's just like the title. It's the same thing over here in my community, and yeah, I'm trying to gather my thoughts because I just joined. So maybe if I hear you guys
Okay.
speak out, know what to
Okay. All right. All right. We'll give you a chance later then. Okay. All right. So, how about Patsy? What do you think? in your place, in your country of origin, among your friends,
Well,
women, country women?
I'm kind of reminded of some things Harpreet said during a previous session about racism. She was saying it still exists in Canada, but it's more subtle. I think that was her. And I believe the same is about outspoken women. There are a lot more outspoken, there are a lot of outspoken women, but they do get punished, but in subtle ways. They're more hard to, so it's hard to complain about it. So, for example, just a simple thing, if you're in a meeting and your husband is there or any male, then the attention is directed to them, not to you. The information is delivered to them, not to the woman, and if you want to speak, you have to push in because they're having this conversation. So, I mean, there's some funny comedians that talk about the workplace, but it also happens socially too, I think. Um, I remember, I think, did I already tell this story? I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. I remember being told I was argumentative one time, and I was like, "What? How could I? I'm not argumentative." And my sister was with me, and she was like, "You never argue. What's he talking about?" But then when I really clearly sat down to think about it, it was just that I had opinions, that I didn't always agree. Let's go here. No, let's go there. Stuff like that. It's ridiculous.
Mm.
Sangeeta, how about you?
All right. I feel like everything that pretty much all of you have said so far, I have witnessed, but I think the thing that really I was thinking about while everybody was talking was, I don't know if everybody knows this study, but there was a study. I might have to look it up. I don't know exactly like the stats and stuff, but the study is when men and women are both in a group, like a meeting, like you said, men perceive women to speak almost 3 times as much as they actually do within the meeting, even if the men are dominating the conversation. In a way, it's not direct silence, but it's a kind of indirect silencing. To be told that you are talking too much when you have barely said anything. To be made to feel like your ideas are basically ramblings. I feel like something I noticed a lot about, especially Medium, if we come back to, if we don't talk about, things from our lives, but if we talk about us as writers, I'm sure you've had it happen to you. I've had it happen to me. Men who will come onto my articles with, I have all my sources. Every single one is double checked by Patsy or whoever's editing that day. And there'll be so many men saying, I'm sorry, I don't think you are capable of writing about this because you're wrong. And when I ask, okay, what is the source? Give me the source. There isn't one. He's the source. He thinks his lived experience it goes above my lived experience and goes above all the knowledge pool that I've taken, I've extracted via my sources, via my researching to create this argument. Oh, I could have written this better, but you did not. But you didn't talk about it. So where is that coming from? And even in those spaces where clearly you've created your own platform as a woman and you're talking about women's issues, there will always be one man who is either vilifying you specifically or is vilifying women as a group because he doesn't like what you're saying. He doesn't have an argument. He doesn't really know why he doesn't like it. He just doesn't like it. And it all boils down to I would have preferred if you were silent. I would have preferred if you didn't say anything. So, like when you were speaking specifically, Patsy, about what it's like to be silenced in a covert way, that's what I was thinking of. I think all of us have been through this, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And I know there's another thing that they say, supposing you come out with something very intelligent, something that they have not thought about, something that overrides their arguments, then instantly they ask you things like, is it that time of the month? Is that why you're so hysterical? Is that why you're so subjective? Have you come across that? And what is it? Another thing, are you menopausal? That also comes. It's almost as though you are speaking out of turn, overriding the opinions of men only because there is something wrong with you at that point of time. Very insulting it is sometimes. I've heard that. I have heard people telling me about such things, even younger people now who are extremely smart and they have to go neck to neck with men in today's society, especially many of my students. So this is what they say, you know.
A
So this is
lovely
one of the ways
counter
of
argument
yes,
to
yes.
are you on your period is, have you got testosterone poisoning? You know, sounds to me like you might have a little bit of testosterone poisoning.
Is that a thing?
Well, I've heard the phrase. I don't know if it's a thing,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Interesting. I
people
will go
do
and
have different
research that.
levels of
Okay.
hormones, and some men have
Mhm.
more
Okay. Okay.
testosterone than
Okay.
others.
Do you think that if a woman is financially independent, she will be able to voice her thoughts better if she's not actually having to depend on a man or a community for her living? If she's actually making her own way in life, do you think, you know, she has a better chance of being heard, and she also has a better um, fearlessness about the way she conducts herself in society? Do you think that is a factor?
Oni
I don't
just,
think it's a.
Sorry?
Oh, you can go. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Mooney just wrote a story about this, didn't you, Mooney, about financial independence being the legacy you wanted to give your daughter
Oh,
because of
yes.
Yes,
this, because of this.
Oh,
yes,
yes.
yes, because of only this. It is very important for every woman to seek knowledge, to have financial dependence, everything, because money can buy everything to you. Like respect in this society only come from money, and because of this, I think like men or our society, not only men, but I think older like older generation, like my grandmother was like this. She don't doesn't allow my mother to do anything, like don't do
Okay.
this and don't do this. And yeah, like she was very good. She knitted very good, um, cloths or
Better.
something.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
but she said that no, you can't do this. It is waste of time. And things like this, I think controlling women name of society is wrong, I think, and only financial dependence can do things for you, I think,
Mm.
in the society.
But Uwana, you had an opposite opinion. You were about to say,
Yeah, then I don't think it's fact. Like as much as financial independence is very important, and it does give an edge that other women who are not financially independent would not necessarily have. But at the same time, like Moni said, you have to like seek knowledge. You have to know your worth. Like I have so many women around me who are financially independent but still do not have their voices. I stayed with an aunt who she was the sole breadwinner of the house. Like her husband has not worked in years. She was the one like bringing in the money, and she was also the sole homemaker. And when she cooks, she has to basically serve this man his food first and make sure he eats to his satisfaction before sharing the food
Oh,
for her and kids. So like she's basically sharing the leftovers between her and her kids. And she's the one making the money in the house. She's the one buying the food stuff with her money and everything. So I don't think financial independence
Helps.
is
Okay.
all it. You still have to know your worth. You still have to seek knowledge and all of that.
No, I agree with what Uwanah said. And I was thinking that as well as soon as you asked the question, because I feel like people forget how much shame and guilt women grow up with. You are made to feel guilty when other people are not fed. You're made to feel guilty and bad when you're surpassing someone or you're not doing good enough. Like at every step of the way, there's a lot of shame that follows you as a woman. So no matter how much money you have, there will always be someone, either a man who is trying to be a patriarch or a woman who is upholding patriarchy because at the moment it's benefiting her, right? There will be someone who's going to try to check you at every point. They're going to try to tell you, mind your tongue, mind your words, don't talk back. Like the talking back thing, you're never just making an argument, you're talking back. And it, I feel like no matter money, like I think of my family itself and the dynamic that I have with my parents, and no matter how much money I make, I will, if he wants to yell at me or make me feel bad or even be abusive, he can be. Why? Because he's the father. And any place that I go to, they will take his side because at the end of the day, he is an Indian patriarch in an Indian family. Like the only thing that really changed for me, even though I am in a state where I would say that I am financially independent, but at the same time, my life is significantly easier because I have community and because I have a husband and things. He wouldn't, or maybe he would, but I feel like he wouldn't stop listening to me if I lose my job or I stop having a stream of income. But if he does, I think the difference between me and a woman who wouldn't leave is the shame of leaving or not leaving. I would leave if I was in a position like that because I come from a privileged class of people who were taught that it's better to be happy than to and be ashamed of yourself than to just stay and endure. Not every woman even has that privilege, right? So many women see it as a personal failure when their marriage fails or when they fail as a mother or a daughter to uphold a certain standard. It doesn't stop. Like, regardless of how much money or how little money you have, someone who wants to abuse you in some way will find a way. That was the idea.
And
Okay.
to even add to that, I read a story some time back on how I think, not one I think, it's like patriarchy punishes women who are more financially independent in a very unique way because it's like they have to start proving themselves. Like you have to prove that, oh, you're making all of this money, but at the same time, you can still go back to the house and submit to the man you're married to. We had so many very successful women in this country who host like webinars and all of that. And the whole idea behind it is yes, I'm this successful, I'm this rich. But when I go back to the house, like I have a king. I'm just a woman. So it's like it's funny, it's they have to be humble. Like that's why you have to know your worth as a person. It's not just about having the money. You still have to like do you have to know your worth. You have to seek knowledge to really know who you are. So it punishes them in a very unique way. Like they have to stay humble and keep proving that they are not above the rules, basically.
Okay.
This, Suma, this reminded me, what Sangeeta said reminded me of the story you were linking to this talk of the woman who endured, who was suffering domestic abuse, and you met her on your visit to India, an old friend, I think. And does she because she doesn't have the financial independence, does she have to stay in that
No,
relationship?
her story is actually, it proves what Sangeeta was telling, that she has got the financial independence, yet she feels that because this man is her husband, she has to be in the same house as he is, and cook for him and take care of him, even though he responds with physical violence. Even though she's financially independent, she's got a pension, she's got a house of her own. Even then, she feels obliged to take care of this man who is completely useless and responds by beating her up like a punching bag, you know? Drives me up the wall. But then there's only so much you can do, so much you can say, because if I go and tell her, this is not what you should do and everything, and I go away to Australia, she'll be forced to suffer his beatings and everything. So there's only so much I can say, and then the rest she has to understand by herself because she is an adult after all. So you've got this feeling, that if you go away, if you leave this kind of abusive person, what will you do? How will you survive alone? So that is a very real fear that is there in all women. So that is the reason why many women stay on in even in abusive relationships, even with financial independence, they refuse to go because they think society will look down upon me, my parents will look down upon me, I will be considered to be the not the victim, but the person who is the villain, you know. So they stay silent. It all boils down to that, whole centuries of conditioning. And
Yes,
even this thing
I
that I'm sorry, yeah. Yes, Moni.
uh, yes,
No, no,
I
tell me.
I want to add one more thing in this financial dependence thing that whenever my one of my auntie, she went to seek a daughter-in-law for her son.
Hmm.
So there was very good girl, and she rejected her because she was more educated than her son. And she said, oh, she will be more educated and more like open and more like
Frank
things
and
like this.
dominating. Hmm.
Yes. So she rejected her, and she was very good person. She was very good girl, and later we found out that our father did like our father um, did some violence to her because of this, that no suitor is coming for you because of you are so
Education.
stubborn that you did so much education and this and that.
So for that also she gets the blame.
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
this is what
Terrible.
happened.
Well, I'm also reminded, I wish Dami Lola was here because she just turned in a story about how the inheritance laws in Nigeria perpetuate the dependence of women by giving everything to the son. And even if you have a daughter who's much more capable, older, already running the business, you're going to give as the father your business to your little 9-year-old son in your will instead of
Ye-
your.
Yes,
It's
this
it's
happened
not even
here
just
too.
I
it's not
couldn't.
even just the son. If the husband, if the father of the home dies, and he still has his very elderly wife behind, and the son could be 3 years old, the entire property, even if they have other grown-up daughters, the mom is very elderly, everything is going to go to the son. And it's not the laws, it's culture. Like it's our culture over here. And the law cannot do anything. Even though they created laws against this inheritance, this and like, and it's also why we have white widows are being oppressed over here. We have a lot, I don't know if it goes on in other cultures, but when a man dies, the first thing a woman and her friends do is, especially if she doesn't have any son, is they start finding documents. The documents to the house, the document, like, you cannot mourn. Like, you have to start working immediately. You have to start hiding things. And yeah, just take it very far because once his family comes, no matter how many daughters you have, as long as you do not have a son, they're going to take everything and throw you guys out of the house
Oh
because
God.
you do not have a son.
Wow.
And
Oh,
they're not just going to throw you out of the house. If they just throw you out, that's even fair. Like, they actually humiliate these women in ways that are unspeakable. Like, they shave their hairs, they sometimes bathe the dead bodies and force them to drink the water. They're forced to stay in a room with their husband, like maybe overnight, the dead husband. They do a lot of things that are unspeakable, and it still goes on. And there have had to be organizations, women organizations that are fighting against this. And if a woman is reported to like be experiencing this with her in-laws, you can call one of these organizations, and they could go there to help the woman. So yeah, it's very very terrible. But yeah, I had it happen to one of my friends. She lost her dad, and they do not have any brother. The man did not have a son, so they all had to shave their heads. They all had to, like, they don't just shave the head; they like actually purposely injure them. So it's very violent.
Because
oh,
their father died, they get this
Yes,
treatment.
and the woman is accused of, like, this is all are trying to prove she did not kill him. So it's like if you resist any of this treatment, it's proof that you killed your husband. And I don't know why they think everybody's trying to kill their husbands.
Oh,
my God.
wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Sounds like the witch trials. Like they would throw you in the water, and if you
Yes,
float,
Oh,
you're a witch. And if you drown, you're not.
I had a friend who father was sick, and when the mom noticed that it was not getting better, she had to quickly take him down to the village so that he would be with his family when he dies. So they will not accuse her of killing him
my
because
God.
they always accuse like of killing their husbands. I don't know why they think everyone is trying to kill their husband.
Especially since they don't get to inherit anything, and there's no
Yeah.
advantage to killing them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. In Kerala, we've got, where I come from, we've got what is known as a matriarchal society. So, um, if after my parents die, if the daughter, supposing I've got two children, then I will get three shares of the property. But my brother, who is a boy, will get only one. So everything is heavily skewed for the woman. So if you've got a daughter,
Oh,
everybody celebrates because she and her children get three shares of the property. So I got two sons, I'll get three shares of the property, but my brother will get only one share. That is the way Kerala's the property is divided in Kerala.
That's
So
so
people,
interesting.
so you like daughters in Kerala. It is one place where people just want to have more daughters because daughters mean a whole lot of things for them. So we don't shun girls. We prefer them to boys any day. That's the way it is. So a parent can go and stay with her daughter after the daughter gets married, but she will not go and stay with her son after the son gets married. So we've got a very strange, crazy kind of society in Kerala.
And
You know,
No,
Kerala is a
this is
state
good
in
society.
India.
beg your pardon? Yeah, yeah, but
Kerala is in India, right? It's a state in India.
that's right, in South India. Yeah.
It's surprising that it has this culture amid a very patriarchal culture in the rest of the country.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We're a Marxist country, state.
Oh,
Hmm.
that's
So
an
women are supposed to be treated equally in everything, you know. That's the thing, yeah.
And
Yeah, so
the
beg your
rest
pardon?
the rest of India is democratic or what?
It is democratic, but I don't think they've got the system of inheritance that is there in Kerala, anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't think so either. From what I understand, usually it's equivalent, at least from where I'm from. So when my grandfather died, for example, property, there's only two divisions for property. It's either you have a will or you don't have a will. If you have a will, then it's entirely by what you wrote as the
Mhm.
deceased person. But if there is no will, it's equivalent for everyone. It used to not be. It
Mhm.
used to be only to either the son or the married child, meaning
Oh,
any child who's single doesn't really get the same inheritance. Like they
okay, okay.
they would get a smaller share.
Okay,
It's weird.
interesting.
And
Huh.
and also there were conditions for example, you get this amount, like a trust fund, you get the entirety of a trust fund if you have a certain number of children or something like that. So we've had weird, dubious wills as well in the north.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think the most common is just the issue actually with in the north is if you don't have a will, sometimes if it is lucrative property, it goes to the government. No one
Oh,
gets it. None of your family get it if you don't have a will in the north. Yeah.
Lord. Oh, wow.
Yeah. There have been like huge disputes between civilians and government because of this. I feel like this is such a huge digression. I'm sorry. But yeah, and but when it also comes to coming back to courts, for example, women are not taken seriously there either. And there is a culture in Indian court in the north. I don't know if it's like that in the south. You can tell me. But in the north, we have a culture of like a man can represent himself, but a woman cannot. Her testimony doesn't mean much. Other women's testimony doesn't really mean much. Like you would need multiple testimonies of multiple women to create a kind of character profile that you would get from just one testimony from a man. So there's other ways in which women are let down in court in India. But this is again, it's in certain limited like housing court and kind of more property related. It's more of a he says she says if there's no will. This is
Mhm.
I don't know if it also migrates into more serious crimes. I feel like it gets very complicated when you talk about things like rape, things like um even theft. I feel like it gets much more complicated, and the amount that women are even allowed to advocate for themselves is not great. It's pretty grim for us.
That is. Okay. So to come back to our last segment of this discussion, how can we women start speaking again? How can we overcome the silence that society and patriarchy and conditioning and brainwashing have subjected us to for such a long time? How can we begin finding our words again?
Honestly, I think it's very personal. But I'm a very stubborn person. Like everybody around me, I've always been very outspoken. I've always been very stubborn. Like my friends cannot believe how stubborn I am, honestly. So I think the first step is just you have to, like, we are conditioned to find our words with men. So you have to
Oh,
first of all find your worth outside of a man. Because women are
mhm.
conditioned to, like, oh, you're choosing, like, they glamorize marriage so much, and it's like, because you're chosen by this man, it's like you're worth so much. And because they believe their worth is in this man, they cannot just leave him, no matter how abusive the situation goes. As like, even when they have the money and are able to leave, they cannot just leave because, like, they would basically be worthless without this man in their lives. So you just have to find your worth outside of men, honestly. You have to be your own person. Like, I have a thing over here of women getting married and losing their entire identity. So it's a conversation we're having on Twitter currently, where you would ask a married woman, "Oh, what's your name?" And her name is either Mommy Jason. Maybe she has given birth, because we do something here when a woman gives birth. You don't call her name; it's disrespectful. You have to call her the name of her child. So something like Mommy Esther, like my mom's name, like my name. So just Mommy Esther.
Oh,
So when she's asked, "What's your name outside?" she'll tell you, "Oh, my name is Mommy Esther." And they'll be like, "Oh, maybe they don't want that name. What's your name?" And she'll tell them, "My name is Mrs. Maybe my dad's name is Adebayo or something." Women basically lose their identity when they get married, and it's made that way for a reason. It's seen as a thing of pride, honestly, for you to not be yourself anymore once you get married. Like, you basically take on the identity of just being a wife and a mother. So you just have to be able to find your worth outside of, like, you have to be your own person outside of the old system and what is expected of you.
Hmm.
I kept my maiden name when I got married, and basically for symbolic reasons. I mean, it wasn't great for the children because they had a different last name than I did, but they didn't really care. But I mean, as far as just ease of communication with school or, administrations. But for that reason, I'm not somebody's sidekick. I am still myself,
Yeah.
right? I'm not. So that was my feeling that I'm not going to become a part of someone else. I mean, if we want to go together, he actually said he'd change his name, but I wasn't ready for that. So he's feminist.
I think I'm gonna piggyback off of your pointers and just add that for a woman to have a voice, it's like you're asking her to fight against a lot of conditioning that she's not ready to fight against because it is so much more um, rewarding. Well, I wouldn't really say rewarding, but it is a lot easier to survive and live your life when you're not fighting that conditioning. So, what women would need to do, unfortunately, is to have much thicker skin. You need to be okay with someone telling you that you're stupid, that you're saying everything wrong, that no one wants to hear what you have to say. You need to still be able to speak in spite of that. Again, there's so many different spheres of life that people come from. Some people come from countries where they are banned from speaking. Other people come from countries where it's okay when their mother is domestically violated, and no matter how many times she speaks up, she's told she's the problem because she doesn't know how to keep her husband happy, right? And there's so much nuance for every woman, and the only way out is to have thick skin. But it's also, you are taking on a huge load and putting yourself in a position where you could be harmed. So when I say thick skin, it's not just against verbal assault. Sometimes it's against physical assault. Sometimes you have to make peace with the fact that your current words could be your last if a man decides he doesn't like them. And it's scary. Sometimes it's easier when it's on a platform. Like for us, it's on Medium, right? Like it's easier when we know that the people who disagree with us are going to lose interest after a few comments. But a lot of the time, they don't. A lot of times you are in the public eye, or you are in a sphere where a man decides at some point that you don't deserve to live even, or to have your entire face. Like how many times have we had in India specifically, but in the world, have women have acid attacks or be, kidnapped and killed and just put into a random place. Like there's so many cases I can't even start to get into. But it's that. It's like we're basically asking women who have been told their entire lives that they're worth nothing, not only to have self-worth, but also have the cognitive dissonance to be okay with harm that comes from having worth and having a voice. So it's murky and it's dirty, and it's like being a lotus in a swamp, and you still are asking this woman to glow and to bloom and become this thing, knowing full well this is not habitable. This system doesn't work. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Muni?
I think education is very important. Like, not only education, like going to school or something. Like every woman, like now, like for example, my one cousin, she was bitten very, very roughly by her husband, and she's not like a close cousin. She's like relative or something. And everyone was saying that she have long tongue.
Oh,
Like,
I understood. Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
yes, like she have long tongue. Like they are justifying this thing that if women say things with our mouth, then men have to beat her. So education is important for everyone. It doesn't matter if she have long or short or no tongue. You are not justified to beat anyone, like beat her or anyone. So yes, education is very important for everyone, for on every level, I think. Yes.
I
Okay,
think
I think we only. Sorry. Yes,
so. Can
Sangeeta.
I add just one more thing very quickly?
No, no problem. Go ahead, please.
I also wanted to say, like, based on all of our discussions, something that comes up, and I think none of us have mentioned, is at the end of the day, like Mooney said, it has to be education, but it has to be for all of us. And I feel like so many men don't realize that the reason women can't have a voice or choose not to have a voice is them. So it's almost like if they would just relax and let us be, we would get so much further as a society than to continue to be in this state where we're scared of just being human. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
We've just won. I think we've already reached the time. So just quickly to summarize everything, we have dealt with the fact that women have been silenced for centuries, and across the world. It doesn't have to be from any country. I mean, all of us belong to different parts of the world, and all of us have realized that it's something which doesn't it's not confined to any one region or country or language or anything. Across the world, this is the way for women. So the way in which, I mean, I feel we can find our voice is um, by, if you've got a son, for instance, if you teach him that the role of a woman is as important as the role of a man, he can. And if he agrees to that, or if he is taught this at a very impressionable age, he'll go on to believe that women can be a part of society, and they have a voice, and they have a right to have a voice. So it's not just education, it is also teaching a boy at an impressionable age that a woman also has a right to exist and to talk, and that she needs a voice, because that is the only way society can be benefited. And so education is very important. And Also, having an educated mother is very important, according to me, because she can teach children, her sons and her daughters. She can teach her daughters that a daughter has a place in society and her voice will be heard. And she can teach her sons that a woman has to be heard for everything to function properly in society. This is what I feel. Thank you all very much from your different parts of the world. I'm so happy to be part of this organization and this group and this pub where you actually have a say in so many things. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank
And
you.
I think Uwanah's going to host next week. Can you tell us what you're going to talk about next week, Uwanah?
We're going to be talking about the beauty industry and just the cost of trying to be conventionally beautiful according to society.
Okay, I look forward to it. And we're going to talk about offline, but maybe we'll go back an hour because if everyone's okay with it, because Suma is going back to Australia from India, and it's hard for her to, she can attend if we start an hour later. So we'll
If
talk
it's
about.
convenient for everybody, otherwise I'll just go onto the YouTube and watch it every time. That's not an issue.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll talk about it, but thanks for coming, and it's lovely to see everyone. You've given me a great start for my Sunday. It's the morning here in San Francisco, so hope you have a good rest
Have a
of your
good
day,
day.
whatever time it is. Mwah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.